Hey guys, welcome to Teal's Tidbits. If you're listening on YouTube, Rumble, or Spotify, make sure you hit that like button or the subscribe button and be sure to share with your friends. Got a couple stories and a couple little events to cover in this short little thing, so let's jump right into it. Alright, I just want to jump straight into this. The vaccine. I thought it was going to work. Here we are, we have Fauci telling everyone to get the vaccine, that it's going to work, and yet why? Because now he's coming around with a second round of mask mandates? I thought it worked though. I thought the mask and the social distancing and everyone trying to hoard all of their hand sanitizer and everything like that was going to work, but no. He's coming back around saying it's not going to work because now we have a Delta and Lambda, supposedly variant of the China virus or the COVID, if you're just normal, coming around to people. Now, why does that impact anyone? Well, because less than 50% of all Americans as of July 19th, only 49.2% are vaccinated. And surprisingly, most of them are Democrats. But where that interesting statistic is while there are 46.7% as of July 6th of the Democrats are vaccinated, why is it only 46? I thought that we had the most popular presidential candidate, president now, in all of history. 80 million people that voted for him. Most popular ever. But you're telling me that less than 40 million people, 40 million Democrats to be specific, are only vaccinated. Something's not really adding up. Either everyone's not buying into it, or they're just truly not believing what they're saying. Between Biden, Pelosi, Fauci, whoever it is. But all we do know is that there are more variants coming around. And at one point, Dr. Fauci said, "Hey, wear 2 of them." You know what? Never mind. They don't work because they're not effective. People are still getting COVID. People still are getting COVID. You can have your vaccine all you want. People are still getting sick. The Texas senators who fled Texas on a private jet all got COVID, but guess what? Every single one of them had the vaccine. So what's the point of even getting the vaccine? No, restart that. So what's the point of getting the vaccine if it's not going to protect you from the first round of COVID? Especially if you're going to need booster shots coming throughout the year and years to, moving forward. If it's not going to protect you from that, much less the variants, then what's the point? We might as well just all be going back to being stationed at home, living remotely from everyone the rest of our lives if it's going to be this way. I mean, we survived all the other pandemics in the history of the world. But here we are now. More technology, more access to medicine and hospitals and better healthcare, and yet we're still being taught to stay home, don't talk to anyone, don't go anywhere, and Lord help if you actually touch or talk to someone within 6 feet. Hey. So let's go ahead and look at this clip of Dr. Fauci versus Senator Rand Paul. This is actually pretty interesting considering it just happened a couple days ago. So we're going to get the big scoop on this.
Knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement. This paper that you are referring to was judged by qualified staff up and down the chain as not being gain of function.
So
let me finish.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans.
Right.
You're saying that's not gain of function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know
Senator
what
Paul
you
is
are talking
directly
about,
from
quite
what
frankly.
Fauci
And I want to say that
and the
officially.
NIH
You
on
do
the
not
gain of
know
function
what you are talking about. Okay, you get
NIH,
one person.
Let's read from the NIH definition of gain of function. This is your definition that you guys wrote. It says that scientific research that increases the transmissibility among mammals is gain of function. They took animal viruses that only occur in animals and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function?
It is not.
It's a dance, and you're dancing around this because you're trying to obscure responsibility for 4 million people dying around the world from a
pandemic. They have been doing for the past couple months.
I have to. Well, now you're getting into something. If the point that you are making is that the grant that was funded as a sub-award from EcoHealth to Wuhan created SARS-CoV-2. That's where you are getting. Let me finish.
We don't know.
Well,
we don't
wait
know
a minute.
If it did
I
come
can-
from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab.
did
There
come from
will
the
be
lab.
responsibility for those who funded the lab,
President Donald
including
Trump went ahead and
yourself.
proved
I
that.
totally
This committee
resent,
will allow the witness to
I
respond.
totally resent the lie that you are now propagating, Senator, because if you look at the viruses that were used in the experiments,
Tell me.
that were given in the annual reports, that were published in the literature,
He's not even confident
it is
about what he's saying.
molecularly impossible.
hearing
No
Biden
one's saying
talk
those
on-
viruses
it is-
people
caused
talking to him
it
for
is
weeks on that.
molecularly-
Those viruses caused the pandemic. What we're alleging is that gain-of-function research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it.
That
You
is
can't
not-
get away from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth.
I'm not
Paul,
obfuscating
Exactly.
the truth.
Senator
You
Paul,
are the
the
your
one.
time is
definition,
expired, but I will
and you're
allow
still
the
lying.
witness to.
Let me just finish. I want everyone to understand that if you look at those viruses, and that's judged by qualified virologists and evolutionary biologists, those viruses are molecularly impossible
No one's
to
saying
result
they are. No
in
one's saying those viruses
SARS-CoV-2.
caused the pandemic.
Senator Paul,
We're saying they are gain-of-function viruses because they were
they're not.
animal viruses that became more transmissible in human, and you
Yeah. And anyway, he goes on to talk more about that Fauci's going to be put in prison and this and that. And Fauci's sitting there saying, hey, if there's anyone that's lying, it's you. Now, me being the person that did, even just a quick Google search will prove that, well, Fauci is technically a criminal. But we'll move past that for a section, only because why does anyone trust him still? This man has been lying since day one. Now, I'll be honest, had a little faith in him at first. At first, I was like, hey, maybe he'll be the one to kind of pull everyone up by the bootstraps, take us all the way back out of here. But that was a lie. That was wrong. Not even Trump supports this man anymore. Sure, at first he probably had to, for the whole media and the press say, hey, we're going to put faith in this man. He's going to lead us out of here just as everyone else was saying. But now any mentally sane person that says Fauci is 100% truthful and pure, lying. Emails to Wuhan saying, hey, we need to make this virus. That. He's getting paid. Fauci is the highest paid federal, maybe not even federal, but government employee at $417,000 a year. 407. That is more. Actually, that's not even just more. That's pretty much top 1 to 2% of people in the U.S. on what they make. And when the next 4 to 5 years, as long as President Biden keeps him on for that long, $2.5 million between him and his little team of researchers that for some reason came out of nowhere to be our leading people in this entire investigation. The president makes less than that. The president brings in $400,000 a year. And you're telling me just this one man that just happens to be a medical professional, probably no more qualified than the other people around him that work in every other state, that he is going to be making the most money pretty much in the country, respectively. President Donald Trump didn't even take a single dollar the 4 years that he was in office. Not a single dollar. He donated it all. It's out of there. Not his. He didn't touch it. He saw it. It was gone. But anyway, so speaking of money, let's go to the vaccine itself. Operation Warp Speed, or OWS. The quickest vaccines in the history of humanity. So they had to skip something, right? Because it usually takes between, maybe 18 months or so, including trials and tests and making sure there was not going to be a bad long-term effect of this vaccine. Yeah. We did that. It takes roughly 18 months to get the vaccine out. That is including 6 months, or up to about 6 months, of trials and tests on animals and humans. Now, based on what the University of Maryland medical system says, if the vaccine causes no harm to the human, then it can be approved and sent out. If it does not pass the no human harm test, then it is denied and not sent out to the public. That's from the University of Maryland medical system. None of these vaccines are approved by the FDA. And a lot of people are going, oh, there's not a lot of stuff approved by the FDA, this and that. That's fine, I agree with that. But when you're talking about a vaccine that the government is stressing, I mean, every day, every night, stressing for you to get, come on, you got to think there's something wrong with it, right? But There probably is. Who's really going to know? It might make you more susceptible to COVID. It might make your immunity go down to these new variants that are coming around. No one really knows yet. And that's because we haven't had time to really think it out, really test it, and everything like that. We're just sitting here putting our faith in the hands of the government, letting them do their thing, and everyone's just being sheep. That's what it's coming down to. Everyone's just being sheep. They're following along. They're drinking the Kool-Aid. But there's a couple of us not getting the vaccine. We're not going to be listening in and just honing in on every little thing the media says because they're just trying to scare people. I'm sure they're trying to cover up some huge and different other secret that's about to get out. I mean, possibly still with Hunter Biden's laptop, but that's probably going to be saved for another episode. But just think about it. President Trump was about to sweep the election, 2020. Here comes a pandemic. Can't go out to vote. Got to do mail-in ballots. Next thing you know, there's mail-in ballots being delivered at 3 a.m. in some areas, days after the counting's wrong. I'm not going to use the R word and say that it was, possibly rigged or not. But come on, we're all over here just believing whatever the government says. Hey, it's fair. Well, if it's fair, why aren't we doing an audit? Huh? If it's fair, why can't we go back and recount? I just don't get it. If they really, really want to be right, it wouldn't make sense for us to go back and test these things. I assure you, there's nothing that any one of these Democrats wants to say, hey, I was right from the beginning. It wasn't rigged. It happened fairly. And by all means, I am fine with that. And if that's exactly the case, then why aren't you wanting just for a recount? That's what I don't understand. But we'll move on from that. So what's coming next? So I guess we could, hope that the China variants aren't as lethal this time around. The Chinese virus, COVID. Looking at the Delta and Lambda, we don't know what they consist of. Supposedly it's already in the US. I really can't tell you. Haven't been any real tests on it. We don't know if it tracks any differently than COVID. We don't know if it spreads quicker. It's more lethal. Ain't no one going to know for weeks to months at this time. But what we do know is Biden and Fauci pushed out this next mask mandate. LA's already going over. Los Angeles County on Friday ordered citizens to wear masks indoors, regardless of whether they were vaccinated or not. Los Angeles County on Friday ordered citizens to wear masks indoors, regardless of whether they were vaccinated, becoming the first U.S. major jurisdiction to backpedal on relaxing virus rules. Now, LA was one of the first to get them, as well as one of the first to kind of start relaxing a little bit, surprisingly in California, of all places. But yet, here they are, doubling back down on it. I know that some places in the Northeast, they're already going back to it. Some never really left. You've always had to have a mask indoors regardless of where you are. But is every state going to follow it? Florida, Ron DeSantis, he doesn't want it. He says if they enforce it, he's just going to ban it altogether. You know what? I'm with that, man. I'm moving to Florida. Who wants to come with me? And lastly, Biden is supposedly pushing door-to-door vaccinations. People coming around with vaccines willing to give it to you right then at your door. Like, is it happening? Is this real? I mean, I haven't seen it in North Carolina, but supposedly in some northern states, it's been a real thing. And I've seen videos of it. I don't know where they've been, but they're out there. Who really knows what we're going to be finding out? The best bet is to just keep the weapons tight on you, pray for the country, and fight like hell. Thank you for listening, and if you're on Rumble, be sure to hit that Rumble button. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and like, and follow on Spotify and share with your friends. I'll see you in the next one.